Ethiopia's political, military, and diplomatic landscape is currently defined by several intersecting crises and ambitions that reflect both historical challenges and new geopolitical dynamics. The country is not only grappling with internal conflicts, including the enduring effects of the Tigray War, but it is also seeking to assert its role as a regional power in East Africa, navigating complex disputes over water resources, maritime access, and security. These issues, together with Ethiopia's continued efforts to recover from a brutal civil conflict, have significant implications for the future of the Horn of Africa. This in-depth exploration delves into Ethiopia's ongoing internal divisions, particularly the situation in Tigray, the country's ambitions to access the Red Sea, and its controversial efforts to manage the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam project, which has sparked tension with downstream countries such as Egypt and Sudan. Through an analysis of these themes, the article presents an interconnected understanding of Ethiopia's current struggles and ambitions, offering insights into the broader regional and international ramifications. The Tigray region of Ethiopia has been the focal point of a brutal civil war that erupted in November 2020. The war between the Ethiopian government led by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and the Tigray People's Liberation Front resulted in a catastrophic humanitarian crisis, leaving hundreds of thousands dead and millions displaced. After 2 years of fighting, the peace deal signed in November 2022 between the Ethiopian government and TPLF was hailed as a landmark achievement, promising a return to peace and stability in the region. However, the fragile peace remains threatened by political factionalism and the complex relationships within the TPLF. In April 2025, Ethiopia appointed Lieutenant General Tadesse Waredi as the head of the interim administration for Tigray, replacing former TPLF leaders who have been at odds with the central government. Tadesse's appointment is seen as a critical step in restoring order, but it also highlights the deep political divides within the region. The interim administration faces significant challenges, not only from the remnants of the TPLF, but also from various factions within Tigray that have differing visions for the future. The factionalism in Tigray, particularly among former leaders such as Debretsion Gebremichael, has raised questions about the legitimacy of the interim government and the future of the region's leadership. These internal conflicts have made it difficult for the interim administration to gain widespread acceptance and have hindered efforts to stabilize the region. Meanwhile, Eritrean forces, which had backed Ethiopia's military efforts in Tigray, have remained stationed along the border, further complicating the situation. The presence of these forces has been a point of contention, with many in Tigray viewing them as an occupying force rather than allies. While Ethiopia has avoided direct confrontation with Eritrea, the ongoing military mobilizations and the lack of a peace agreement between the two countries suggest that the risk of renewed conflict remains high. The border remains a flashpoint, with both sides maintaining a heavy military presence. The situation is further compounded by tensions within the TPLF itself, which has not fully integrated the peace agreement, and the unresolved question of Eritrean military presence in Tigray. The TPLF's internal divisions have made it difficult to present a united front, further complicating the peace process. Amidst this political and military turmoil, the people of Tigray continue to face significant hardships. Efforts to rebuild the region and provide humanitarian aid have been hampered by the ongoing instability. The interim administration has made some progress, but much work remains to be done to restore normalcy. International organizations, including the United Nations, have been working to provide aid to those affected by the conflict. However, access to some areas remains restricted, and the delivery of aid has been inconsistent. The international community continues to call for a lasting peace agreement and the withdrawal of foreign forces. Diplomatic efforts are ongoing to bring about a resolution to the conflict. Peace talks have been held, but progress has been slow. The involvement of regional powers and the complex web of alliances and rivalries have made negotiations challenging. The future of Tigray remains uncertain, but there is hope that with continued efforts, peace and stability can be achieved. The interim administration, despite its challenges, represents a step towards rebuilding and reconciliation. The road ahead is long, but the resilience of the people of Tigray offers a glimmer of hope for a brighter future. While the Tigray conflict has consumed much of Ethiopia's domestic and foreign policy focus, the country's strategic aspirations go beyond its borders. A significant aspect of Ethiopia's foreign policy is its long-standing goal of securing access to the Red Sea. Ethiopia has been landlocked since Eritrea's secession in 1993, and this lack of direct maritime access has been a key driver of its regional ambitions. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam project, however, is not the only strategic endeavor that Ethiopia is pursuing in the region. In early 2024, Ethiopia reached a historic agreement with Somaliland, a self-declared independent region of Somalia, to construct a naval base on a 20-kilometer stretch of coastline along the Red Sea. This deal marked a significant milestone in Ethiopia's attempts to establish a foothold on the Red Sea. The move has drawn sharp criticism from Somalia, which considers Somaliland a part of its territory, and has also sparked tensions with Egypt, which is heavily invested in controlling access to the Red Sea, given its reliance on the Suez Canal for trade. The agreement has led to a breakdown in diplomatic relations between Ethiopia and Somalia, with Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud accusing Ethiopia of attempting to annex Somali land. Egypt, for its part, has expressed support for Somalia's territorial integrity, highlighting the broader regional implications of the deal. Egypt's concerns stem from its historical dominance over the Nile River and its strategic interests in the Red Sea, both of which are under threat by Ethiopia's increasing presence in the region. Despite the regional pushback, Ethiopia has remained resolute in its determination to secure maritime access, with Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed reiterating that Ethiopia will pursue its maritime ambitions through peaceful means and dialogue. However, the move has led to growing instability in the Horn of Africa, as multiple countries jockey for influence in the region, with potential security and diplomatic fallout. While Ethiopia's bid for maritime access in the Red Sea is contentious, the GERD remains the most significant point of friction between Ethiopia and its neighbors, particularly Egypt and Sudan. The GERD, which began construction in 2011 on the Blue Nile River, aims to become Africa's largest hydroelectric power station, with an eventual capacity of 6,000 megawatts. Once completed, it is expected to significantly contribute to Ethiopia's power supply and its economic growth, alleviating the country's chronic energy shortages. However, the GERD has been a source of ongoing tension with Egypt, which relies on the Nile River for approximately 90% of its freshwater supply. The Nile's flow is divided between several countries, but Egypt and Sudan have historically enjoyed preferential access under the 1959 Nile Waters Agreement, which allocated 55.5 billion cubic meters of water annually to Egypt and 18.5 billion cubic meters to Sudan, leaving no allocation for upstream countries like Ethiopia. The GERD's construction and the proposed filling schedule for its reservoir have become a flashpoint in regional relations. Ethiopia's plan to fill the reservoir over a 6-year period has raised alarms in Egypt, which fears that such a rapid filling could drastically reduce its water supply. Egypt has called for a longer filling period of 10 years to allow for more flexibility and to avoid damaging its agricultural sector, which is highly dependent on the Nile's waters. Sudan, while less vocal, also shares concerns about the dam's impact on water flow and downstream infrastructure. The dispute over the GERD exemplifies the broader challenges of managing shared water resources in a region that is increasingly subject to the pressures of climate change, population growth, and political tensions. The Nile River is not just a lifeline for Egypt, it is a critical resource for Sudan, Ethiopia, and other countries in the basin. Ethiopia has maintained that the GERD is a sovereign development project that will benefit all Nile Basin countries, but the lack of an agreement between the three countries underscores the fragility of regional cooperation. As Ethiopia continues to fill the GERD's reservoir, the potential for conflict remains high. Egypt and Sudan have repeatedly warned that the dam poses existential risks to their water security, and while there have been efforts at negotiation, the disagreements have yet to be resolved. The situation is made more complex by the involvement of external actors, including international powers that have stakes in the region's stability and economic development. Beyond the GERD and the maritime deal with Somaliland, Ethiopia's broader strategic ambitions are further shaped by the shifting geopolitics of the Red Sea. as countries like Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and the UAE seek to establish military and economic footholds along the Red Sea. Ethiopia's exclusion from key regional discussions such as the Red Sea Forum has raised concerns about its role in shaping the region's security framework. The Red Sea is not just a key maritime route for global trade, it is a critical geopolitical space that links the Mediterranean Sea to the Indian Ocean. The presence of foreign military bases along the Red Sea coastline, by powers such as the United States, China, and Russia, adds layers of complexity to the region's security dynamics. Ethiopia, which has traditionally been left out of these discussions, now seeks to assert itself as a regional power by both securing maritime access and leveraging its influence in East Africa. As Ethiopia moves forward with its efforts to engage with neighboring countries, particularly in the Red Sea region, the broader question of regional security remains unresolved. Ethiopia's increasing involvement in maritime affairs, combined with its internal political challenges, has the potential to reshape the region's security architecture. The Horn of Africa, already home to a volatile mix of political conflicts, military rivalries, and humanitarian crises, stands at the crossroads of a new geopolitical era. The road ahead for Ethiopia is fraught with challenges, but there are opportunities for cooperation and regional stability. The key to Ethiopia's success lies in its ability to balance its internal political divisions, its quest for maritime access, and its management of the GERD dispute with Egypt and Sudan. This will require deft diplomacy, adherence to international legal frameworks, and a commitment to cooperative development. As Ethiopia continues to navigate its complex regional and international relations, it will need to prioritize diplomatic engagement with its neighbors and international partners. The lessons learned from the Tigray conflict, the GERD negotiations, and its maritime ambitions will shape Ethiopia's future trajectory. By working to resolve conflicts, foster economic growth, and strengthen regional alliances, Ethiopia has the potential to become a leading force in the Horn of Africa, if it can avoid the pitfalls of unilateral action and embrace multilateral cooperation.